What's going on, guys? It's your host of the Constitutional Confederate, John. So, for those of you who don't know, we have a problem going on in our school systems. Public school systems, but also higher education, state-funded, so on and so forth. I started back to school in 2012. I went back to school at a trade school here called Trident Tech. Oh, by the way, welcome virtually to South Carolina. It's a cool gray Carolina morning. Anyway, yeah, I did a few different programs, got 2 certifications, 2 associate degrees, started a couple of programs, and ended up having to drop out of those programs, or not drop out, but withdraw from those programs because physically I just wasn't going to be able to complete them. A lot of hands-on stuff. One of them was a veterinary technician program, and I had to withdraw from that one even though I really enjoyed it, because when we got to the larger animals, farm animals and so on, I couldn't do it. Don't have the strength, don't have the balance. So I left and let somebody else take my place in the program. Anyway, I kind of miss being in that technical school. We had several different points of view, perspectives, religiosities, several different ages of all age categories, stuff like that. People were trying to get a better job. Some people were taking classes for fun and curiosity after retiring. Students were there to learn trade skills and start their careers coming out of high school, so on. I like that one. I like that school. I really enjoyed it. Didn't realize how much I liked it until after I left. Transferred over to college Charleston, one of our state-funded universities here. And it's not been a good experience. I've aced most of my classes, but people are the school itself is extremely politically one-sided. I've had 2 instructors that are conservatives that talk about they have to be careful what they say. I've had students who told me that an instructor tried to fail them for a difference of opinion. I myself have had instructors who've taken off grade points for having a difference of opinion with them. And here's the worst part. Okay, higher education. When you go to higher education, you're actually supposed to hear different sides of the same equation and let the student, you're supposed to teach these and let the students decide on themselves what's right and what's wrong. And being here at this school, which, to be perfectly honest, I woke up Saturday and the only thing running through my head was, screw it, just withdraw. I'm tired of dealing with it. But they're teaching and preaching one side of the equation. That's it. They don't even touch on the other side. People talk about indoctrination in middle school, high school, and college. You know, some of y'all out there probably think it's an over-exaggeration or it's a joke or whatever. It's not. I'm seeing it every day. Go into the classroom or log into Zoom. Kids are all saying the same thing, using the same words because they've been indoctrinated. Instructors giving one viewpoint, one side, and heaven forbid if you try to challenge them. It's not good. There's no real learning going on. They're not even encouraged to go and research the other side, to either debate it or counterpoints for it. The majority of them are really young. I would say impressionable, but they've already been pressed, so to speak. There's very few older people in my classes. you know. So you're not even getting to hear from experience very much. I don't know what to do. Almost halfway through the semester. I think either next week or the following week is midterms. I have no motivation anymore to log in. I've got no motivation to do my coursework and turn it in. I hate saying it, but I'm tired of dealing with it. Walking away isn't necessarily the answer either. I mean, it's papers that I've written previously that I've used experience in technical manuals from going to the trade school. And I've gotten responses from my instructors being like, wow, I didn't know that, or I hadn't thought about that. When you sit there and you tell them, in my experience, this is what I've worked on, done on the job, learned on the job. This is what this book over here says. Cite the book, the year, the edition, and the pages. I'm going to have to go look at that. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Okay, but the book that I used is 2-3 years old. It's peer reviewed. And it's on like its 10th or 12th printing. And it's used internationally. Versus the news articles and some of the stuff that you use that's not. Well, that kind of goes against, well, yeah, it does. But just because it goes against your opinion and your thought process doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm serious. Part of higher learning, whether you guys realize it or not, part of higher learning, university, college, tech schools, trade schools, things like that, they're supposed to have multiple sides, multiple points of view to the same subject matter questions, and so on. That way students can figure out what's right, what's wrong, what fits their narrative, so on and so forth. And that's not what they're getting. Sorry. It started hurting, so I gotta readjust. But that's not what they're getting. A lot of times, they're not even being told to research stuff with actual research materials. A research paper assignment is given with certain articles that are already presented to you, all saying the same thing. And you've got to go read through them and figure out what parts you want to pull out and use. Most of them are like articles that are newly printed and biased as hell. I know you guys have heard me say it a lot. You've heard it in my podcast. It's in my writings for the blog. And you've heard me say it many, many times on these videos. Our education system is in a very bad place. It is broken. It has been broken for years. Well, it's been on the way to being broken for years, but it is really broken now. And then you add to it that a lot of the teachers' unions don't want to reopen the schools. In fact, there's an entire school board who just resigned. Can't remember where it was. Was it Ohio? I don't know. There's an entire school board who just resigned because somebody had recorded on an open mic them talking about parents wanting to reopen the schools for no other reason than wanting their babysitters back. And I'm sorry, but that's not why people want the schools open. That's not why parents want the schools open. the parents aren't looking for babysitters. The parents are looking for people to teach their children and to teach them properly. I've got 3 kids of my own. Thankfully, all of mine are now adults. They do have some questionable viewpoints, and I blame the school system they went to for that. But they've also been taught how to find answers on their own. How to think independently. Can thank their mother for a lot of that. Y'all need to start getting more involved in your kids' educations. You also need to start challenging the colleges and the universities and making sure that they are challenging their students. You need to make sure that colleges and universities are teaching as many viewpoints to any kind of a problem or a discussion as possible, and pointing out things that are good as well as things that are bad to all of those viewpoints, and that they're not just preaching one side of the equation. One of the classes that I'm taking is an economics class, microeconomics, Econ 200. I hate economics. I always have. Took it in high school. Taking it again here. It's a required foundational class. And the more we get into microeconomics and how it works, the more my instructor has not just talked about minimum wage, ceilings and floors for government-controlled pricing, rent-controlled apartments, but he has actually shown using mathematical formulas and graphs how these things don't work and they hurt the economy, as well as the outside effects that they have. The kids' eyes just light up in horror. They're like, so a $15 minimum wage isn't going to work? No, it's not going to work. You increase the required pay, the stores and companies either start laying people off, or they have to increase the cost of the stuff that they sell to cover that expense. So as you increase the pay, the cost of living goes up, as well as less jobs available. So no, it doesn't work. And it's been shown graphically. It's been shown using formulas. It's been shown with historical records and previous economists' papers and stuff. And yet, there's a group of people who just want to keep raising the minimum wage. Rent-controlled apartments don't work. It prevents people from purchasing land and building new apartments because there's no money in it. In fact, most of the time, rent-controlled apartments, landlords quit maintaining it because it's too expensive. It's a financial loss. There you have it. Take it or leave it. There you go. There's a humongous problem in our educational system. There's an even bigger problem in our colleges and universities, our higher education. So, if you guys like what I have to say, you can go check out theconstitutionalconfederate.com. Videos, blog, and podcasts are all centrally located there. You can also reach me at constitutionalconfederate1978 at gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing back from you. I want to hear from you. If you want to hear me talk about something else, hit me up. Till next time, y'all watch your six.